Hi there, Stampin' Peace friends. Happy Friday. Gosh, it feels like a long week. So I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm sure I'll be doing a little bit of work in the studio here, but just going to try and relax and um, come off a rough week. Give myself a little me time. My son-in-law is fishing tomorrow with friends, so maybe I'll go over to Andrea's and we'll do something together. But kind of looking forward to it being a low-key weekend. How about you? Do you have weekend plans? And hopefully those weekend plans include a little bit of crafting. Is anybody crafting today? Making anything, not just paper crafts, anything at all? Doing something creative? I hope so. Today I'm going to show you some more ways that you can showcase your beautiful designer series papers. Once again, I'll be featuring products from the Masterfully Made suite, which includes the DSP of the same name, as well as the gorgeously made stamp set and dies, and then some fun sequins to add a little bling to our cards. Before we start, a couple of quick reminders. Saturday is the last day to sign up for my very first One Sheet Wonder class to go. You'll make 2 sets of cards, 3 cards in each set. Using the Bright and Beautiful designer series paper. With the class kit, you'll get a full pack of the DSP. You will get the Tinsel Gems 4-pack embellishments. Your PDF tutorial will include supply list, color photos, cutting dimension instructions for all 6 cards, plus the One Sheet Wonder template and the 3 card sketches that coordinate with that One Sheet Wonder template. So last day to register for that or order yours is Sunday, June 11th. I had to think of the date. Sunday, June 11th. Or did I put the date as tomorrow? I think it's June 11th, Sunday. Actually, no, it's tomorrow. It's the 10th. But if anybody's hearing this on the 10th, I'm a little bit confused. So just 2 days, today and tomorrow, to get that. It's fabulous. It is the first of 6 monthly classes I'll be doing featuring One Sheet Wonder templates and coordinating card sketches. In addition, don't forget to stock up on your favorite designer series papers this month. 13 of the DSP packs are on sale this month only, 15% off. And even better, and to maximize your savings even more on Stampin' Up! Products, you might be interested in purchasing our starter kit. Typically, the starter kit includes $125 of product for $99 plus tax, free shipping. This month, you get an additional $30 of product. So you get to choose $155 of product, pay just $99 plus tax, and it all ships free. To maximize that even more, you can add the DSP that's on sale. You can add items from the clearance rack. So if you've got a long wish list, I highly suggest you go this route. There is no obligation to quote unquote demonstrate, sell, hold classes and events, that sort of thing. If you, I lost my train of thought. I saw a question pop up and lost my train of thought. Anyways, there's information about joining on stampinpeace.com. There is information about that class to go at stampinpeace.com as well. That is the hub of my business. If you need more information, please let me know. Barbara, the class to go, all of the information you can find at stampinpeace.com on a recent blog post. It's really easy to find. Just go to stampinpeace.com. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Let's get started crafting. I'm going to flip my camera around now, and while I'm doing that, please share this live video and invite others to join us on this Friday afternoon. Okay, today I'm making 3 cards with you. Hopefully my Facebook will cooperate on the computer screen. It's been wonky lately. Okay, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to feature your designer series papers. And with each of these, I'll be using the masterfully made DSP, which can be found in the annual catalog. That suite is on pages 102 and 3. And it is gorgeous paper. Okay, my stand keeps shifting on me. I'm so sorry, people. Let's try this. Make it a little weightier on the other side. Okay, that's better. It also shows up a little bit different on my phone screen above than it does on the screen of my laptop. All right, my card base for this card is Lost Lagoon. This is one of those previous colors that Stampin' Up! Brought back to us. I'm so excited about that. I forgot how much I really love this color. Anybody else happy to see this color back? Or maybe you're new to Stampin' Up! And have not seen this color before. But it's just, I think it's just kind of a, what do I want to say? Kind of a calming, relaxing color. This is the piece of DSP that I am using, and I am going to be cutting this just a little bit. I want this to fit my entire card front. So I want this to be 5.5 inches by 4 1/4 inches, 5.5 by 4 1/4. So I've started with a piece that measures 5.5 by 4 3/4. So I'm cutting this down to 5.5 by 4 1/4 for my card front. I'm going to flip this piece over and use it on the inside of my card, but I also have this piece, which is also from that same piece of DSP, and I'll be using the back side. And this measures 1 inch by 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere this large piece of DSP to my card front. And we want all of the edges to line up nicely because I want this to be my entire card front, no border around it. Oh, darn. I was going to stamp on it. Well, I'm still going to stamp on there. Do as I say, not as I do. I should have. I don't often stamp on the inside of my card, so I kind of forgot I was doing that. So I'm going to stamp off on scrap paper first. I'm just going to put this here so I don't get it on the bottom of my card front. And I'm just going to stamp those leaves. And I stamped off because I wanted a lighter shade of the Lost Lagoon. If you want the bold Lost Lagoon, go ahead and stamp it right onto your cardstock initially. Don't stamp off. But I wanted just a lighter shade. I'm going to take this 1/2 inch piece of DSP that I cut off from that large piece. And I'm going to put this very close to the top of my basic white. And I should have trimmed that down. I'm a little off today, people. Sorry about that. It's been a difficult week. And today a difficult day. But, you know, life goes on. We pick ourselves up, and I always know I'm going to feel better when I go live with Stamping Friends. So thank you for being here. So there's the inside of my card, a little bit fancier than we usually do on the inside there, but that's always a fun surprise. All right, now I'm going to stamp my sentiments, and I'm going to make this a thank you card. And just a friendly reminder that I'm using the Gorgeously Made stamp set and dies. Okay, so here's my thank you. I'm going to stamp this on my grid paper first. Just practice stamping straight. I find that doing it on the grid paper before I actually stamp on that sentiment piece works great. Of course, you can always stamp on your on a scrap of cardstock and then do the die cutting. I do it this way oftentimes for demonstration purposes. I try to be respectful of your time. Okay, so now remember this I took from the same piece of Designer Series paper. You know, I should show you this one because this one is a unique one. This particular sheet is kind of what I call like a half design sheet. Let's see if I can find it here. Ooh, have I used it all up? Wait. Yeah. So it would be a 12 by 12 sheet, but it's one that's designed, you can cut it right in half. So they're great for scrapbook pages, maybe on a collage or some kind of home decor piece you're making, or it's great for those simple one sheet wonders. So I want to do this side though. And the first thing I'm going to do is adhere my sentiment to the center of this. This DSP strip measures 1 inch by 4 inches. It is a little bit long, but I intentionally made it a little bit long because I want it centered top to bottom, because I'm going to tear the edges. And tearing the edges, and this DSP actually has a white core. Can you see that? A white core. And tearing these edges just kind of fits with the whole theme of the Masterfully Made DSP. And you can put this anywhere you like, right in the center. Can go more towards the left or more towards the right. And I think I'm just going to go over, well, maybe I'll go on the middle on this one. I'm going to go on the middle on this one. So now on the front of our card, we have both sides of the DSP showing. We also have a strip of the back side of that DSP. Here's what that card looks like with the sentiment off to the left. So either way works well. It's simply your preference. So let's add a little bit of bling. I'm going to use the Pretty Peacock sequins from the set. This, what do they call these? Adhesive Back Sequins Trio. Not a real fancy name, is it? But it is part of the Masterfully Made product suite. So there's our first card showcasing both sides of that DSP. And okay, this is going to be super fun. So for this card only in the demonstration, I am using a die from a different set. This die set is called Something Fancy, and it goes with the Something Fancy stamp set. Okay, so I'm taking this die for this card only from the Something Fancy bundle. And I'm actually going to be using my large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I've got a piece of 5 1/4 by 4-inch DSP. Okay, 5 1/4 by 4-inch DSP. I want to put this right in the middle, and I'm going to use a little Post-it note to hold that die in place. And put another clear cutting plate on top, and we're ready to go. So I've just put that in the center. You really could use any shape of die that you want. We have some really cool shapes. The deckled rectangles, the stylish shapes dies. What else is there? Oh, I can't, it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of the name of it. Tailored tag dies. Anything, any kind of tag that is to you kind of a fun shape or decorative shape. And for this card, I'm using fresh freesia. Okay, you're going to think this is crazy when I tell you this, but true story. I went to Target this morning, working with the doctor on some things, but she wanted me to get some B12 vitamins. So I went and bought those. Came home and went to take one, and I put the one in my hand, and my first thought was, oh my gosh, it's fresh freesia. Does anybody else like that? Sometimes I think it's craziness, but I see the world in Stampin' Up! Colors. Anybody else like that? See the world in Stampin' Up! Colors? You probably don't even believe me. I'll have to show you on the next live. But that vitamin really is that fresh freesia color. Vesta, I'm thinking the same thing. That better do something good if I'm calling it a Stampin' Up! Color, if it looks like one of our Stampin' Up! Colors. I thought, well, maybe that's good luck. So I just, this die cut piece, I just flipped it over. So now I'm showcasing both sides of this beautiful DSP. And now I'm ready to add some fun to this card. I need to close these up. I had quite a mess of ink this morning. I kept dropping things in ink, etc. It was not a pretty sight. So I'm going to die cut some leaves using that gorgeously made die set. Wait till you see how nicely these dies cut out. You know, I have my Stampin' Up! Die brush, but I have to be honest and say I don't use it very much anymore because the quality of the dies has greatly improved, as well as the quality of the die cutting machines that we have now as opposed to what we had years ago. But look at that, the pieces just come right out. This is going to go right here. Now, on this, I did not want to lay it flat, but I also didn't want to have to mess with cutting teeny tiny little pieces of Stampin' Dimensional, because even the minis are too big for this piece. But I still wanted a little dimension. So what I did to give myself that little dimension is I rolled up 3 glue dots. It's super easy to do. It takes no time at all. Just roll them up with your finger. And where am I going to put that other one? I want to make sure it's okay. So now I have those 3 little rolls of mini glue dots. Can you see those? 1, 2, 3. So when I add this, not only is it adhering this die cut to my card front, but it's lifting it up just a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. So it gives it that dimension without it being too much, or having to use dimensionals and making sure I wasn't seeing the dimensionals from the front and side, that sort of thing. Because sometimes you have to cut those dimensionals teeny, teeny, tiny. And I didn't want to do that. Okay, and once again, I am going to stamp my sentiment, and this time I'm stamping with Fresh Freesia ink to match my card base. And I'm going to stamp a simple hello. Hello cards, some people are like, well, they're just kind of generic. And sometimes it's good to have some generic cards because they can be used for just because, or thinking of you, or a thank you. It can be used literally for anything. And sometimes that's all people need is a little hello, to know somebody's thought of them. So I find when I have cards that say things like hello, or just because, or just a note, and I look at those and it gets my brain thinking, who could use a pick-me-up? Who would enjoy getting a handmade card? And you right now can probably think of lots of people in your life that would enjoy receiving a handmade card. And then let's add some of our sequins. I should say our no hole sequins. You know how I feel about holes in sequins, right? So I love that these do not have holes in them. And this time I'm using the white sequins. So there is our second card featuring a new way to use that, use both sides of that DSP. And because it's Friday, and I also often do Fun Fold Friday cards, the next card's going to be a Fun Fold that I know you are going to love. First of all, though, I want to show you the inspiration. Sometimes, you know, our mind's wandering, we can't think of anything, and I oftentimes will go to my stash of cards and just pull some inspiration from there. So this is the inspiration for the Fun Fold card I'm going to show you. But I'm going to say, when I remember making this in a Facebook Live, and somebody said to me afterwards, but Mary, I only like cards that stand up. Well, you know, I can't please everybody all the time, right? And I like to show you different things as well. But I decided I'm going to remake that, and I'm going to use that Fun Fold portion of that card to make a full-size Fun Fold card that will stand up. So here is one sample that I made. I want to slide off my belly band. So it does stand, okay? And this is it. And if you want more room to write, if you are sending a newsy card, you can also attach a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of white to the back of this. But let me show you now how to make this. And when I post this to my blog, you will get all of the cutting and scoring dimensions for this. I'm working with a piece of Pretty Peacock, and this measures 5 1/2 by 12 inches, okay? 5 1/2 by 12 inches. So you do need to pull out your 12 by 12 cardstock for this, but you can make 2 cards from that one piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. Just cut a 5.5 inch strip. The next thing you're going to do is, and I do want to use the arm of my paper cutter. So many things out. I'm going to start by scoring at 1 1/4 inch. 1 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to be making several score lines, and each time I make one, I'm going to pull my cardstock out and flip it over. That's because I'll be folding these score lines in different directions. Okay, so then I scored it 2 1/2, pulled it out and flip it again. And then I'm going to score at 5 1/8, 5 1/8 inch, and that is 2 little marks from the 5. That's your 5/8 inch. Score that, flip it, and again, for the last score line, I'm going to score at 7 3/4. Okay, so if you don't want to flip the paper back and forth, it's not a huge deal. If you do, it just makes the scoring, the burnishing of those score lines just a little bit cleaner. So what I did was start with 5 1/2 by 12 inch piece of cardstock. I scored at 1 inch, flipped 2 1/2. I'm sorry, 1 1/4, 1 1/4, 2 1/2, flipped again, scored at 5 1/8, and then flipped and scored at 7 3/4. And I will give you a tip. I'm often asked, how do you know which way to fold your paper? And I had a customer a long time ago, and she would use she made up her own little saying, the valley becomes the mountain. So here is a valley. It's indented, goes down like a valley. That forms a mountain, okay? And then the mountainside is the opposite. But once you get that first one in place, that first fold, score line folded, go over all of your score lines with your bone folder. It always helps when you're doing fun fold cards that you really go over those score lines well with your bone folder. So here now is the card base, okay? And then I have lots of DSP and cardstock cut and ready. So my largest piece of cardstock measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. This is what the back side looks like. Okay, 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So our pretty standard size for the inside of a card. The next piece of DSP is 5 1/4 by, I have to think a second, 2 3/8. 5 1/4 by 2 3/8. But I want the opposite side facing up. Opposite side facing up. And I'm putting this on the center panel. You've got 5 different panels on this card base. And then the last piece measures 5 1/4 by 1 inch. Now I'm going to go back with my basic white cardstock. And, oh, what happened to my sample? Here it is. Before I add this piece of 1 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of basic white, I want to do a little stamping on it. Denise, our 12 by 12 is sold in assorted packs only. Sorted packs only, except for white and, do we have vanilla, I think? Yeah. And they're typically sold by color families, so you get like 2 of each of the colors in that specific color family. So I'm just going to stamp right down this strip with this print image. And each time I want to stamp off because I just want it to be not super light, but a little softer. And you can even move that stamp side to side to get some different placement. If you want to fill in some of those little white gaps, just go over it again. And that is that. And I'll adhere this to that second panel of my card base. Now my other piece of basic white cardstock measures 5 1/4 by 2 3/8 inches. 5 1/4 by 2 3/8. And I'm going to leave this blank because this is what I would use to write a message. You could stamp a sentiment here or a small image if you like. So keep in mind that the first 2 panels are the same size. So this DSP and this cardstock measure the same. Same for the second 2 panels. The only one that's different is the 5th or the right panel. And that uses 5 1/4 by 4 inch DSP. And then you fold it up like that. So you can see we very nicely featured both sides of the same sheet of Designer Series paper. Now let's make a belly band. This piece of Berry Burst cardstock measures 1 inch by 10 inches. 1 inch by 10. You could go a little shorter. You could go a little longer, but I have found that I like working with a 10-inch strip. You need it to be more than 8 1/2 because you've got 4 1/4 plus 4 1/4 because you're going around, and you need a little overlap space. So what I like to do is just lay my card base on top of the strip, and then I fold over one side and then the other. I do not like to score my belly bands because, as you can see, if I scored here, this is thicker than one score line. So I just do that and it works out perfectly. Then you'll want to put a little bit of adhesive on the ends to close it up. Remember, this is a belly band, so you only want to adhere the ends to itself. It should be able to move. It should fit somewhat snugly. It's not going to fall off, but you should be able to move it pretty freely, okay? And then it's time to do some decorating. The first thing I'm going to do is die cut some foliage, and I'm going to do that with this piece of Lost Lagoon and another one of our dies from the Gorgeously Made set, this one. Make sure it's all on my cutting plates. Not hanging off. Does anybody have that boho blue mini machine? I just love that little thing. The color is just, I don't know, again, kind of calming, serene. pretty. And these negative spaces pop out pretty easily. It's just that they can get caught on all those small little cuts. So I just like to bend the back a little bit and pull those pieces out. So it's just a little bit fragile because of the number of small cuts. So just take your time. It's not hard to do, but just take your time so that you're not ripping parts of it. Okay, these guys, I should put that through again. One thing, and I'm going to hold this up close to the camera so you can see. One thing to note here, while it cuts out pieces, it also puts these little cuts right into the leaves. So that way, it just has a little bit more dimension than plain leaves. So I really like it for that reason. Oh, Tanya, you got to get that boho machine out and break that in. So before I adhere this, I want to kind of lay it across my belly band. If you feel more comfortable taking that belly band off of the card, I would, because we don't want to get glue on our card front while we're finishing off our belly band. But I'm going to set this on there in a way that pretty much will cover up that seam in my Berry Burst belly band. And I'm also setting it down on top of my, why do I always forget the name of this? It's like right there and then it slips my mind. Silicone craft sheet, right? Or silicone craft mat, something like that. And I like to do that because it grabs all that excess ink. And I want that excess ink here, not on my card front. And then I can just rub it off with my finger. Super cool, super convenient. And let's stamp a sentiment now. This time I'll be stamping with Berry Burst. I have to say, back in the day when we had Berry Burst as our in colors, oh, this was it for me. I love that color. Absolutely love Berry Burst. It's very cheerful. Then I'm going to add this with dimensionals to my belly band. We'll put the belly band back on our finished card. And then I'll take a moment to scroll back and see if there were any questions or comments. So there's our finished card. Let's add a little bit of bling. I think I'll use, should I use the pink? I think I'm gonna use the Pretty Peacock color again. I'm gonna put 5 on this time. Instead of 3, I'm going to bump it up to 5. All right, what do you think? Not hard, is it? Not hard, is it? I should write this down. This is my little cheat sheet I made. So you start with cardstock that is 5.5 by 12 inches. So you'll get 2 from one 12 by 12 sheet of DSP or of your cardstock. Score at 1 1/4 inch, 2 1/2, 5 1/8, and 7 3/4. And then you're going to do that zigzag fold. Okay. I will have all of these measurements on my blog when I post this video and the cards there. So what do you think? I have to be honest and say, when I first saw this product suite, I wasn't sure how well I'd be able to use the Masterfully Made DSP. But since I got it and played with it and then showed it, especially showcasing both sides of the DSP because it really is beautiful, it's just a little bit challenging because it has sort of that that artsy look, the torn paper, collagey look to it. And I thought it might be a little bit hard to work with, but I have found it's not at all, that I really love it. And the fact that I was able to use it in a way, both in the last Facebook Live and this one, to show different ways to showcase both sides of the DSP has made me love it even more. And yes, it is one that is on the 15% off sale in June. Okay, if you are interested in receiving one of these cards, I will enter your name into the drawing if you type in the comments now, gorgeously made, gorgeously made. That is the name of the stamp set and dies that coordinate with the Masterfully Made DSP. Alrighty, so gorgeously made is what we're putting in the comments if you want your name entered into the drawing to possibly receive one of these cards. Oh, it looks like a lot of you. Okay, while you're doing that, I'm scrolling back, checking to see if I missed any questions. Again, 12 by 12 cardstock comes in assorted packs. Kathy Kelly says, way off the subject here, but I just found a new use for my Take Your Pick tool. Oh, I love it. It is, I'm not sure how to say that, lychee fruit season. I don't even know what that is in Florida. And I got some yesterday. You need to remove the stem to open it. And rather than my thumbnail, I used my Take Your Pick tool. Works beautifully. I love that. I love that. That is so cool. But now I'll have to look up what kind of fruit that is. I haven't heard of that, Kathy. Oh, thanks for sharing. You made my day. Don't you just love the versatility of our products and tools? I love it. Tanya says she also sees the world in Stampin' Up! Colors. I love it. Oh, thank you all. I appreciate the hugs and the good thoughts. And Barbara, I think I answered your class to go question. All of the information for the Bright and Beautiful One Sheet Wonder class to go can be found on my website /blog, stampinpeace.com. And Tanya says, speaking of the Take Your Pick tool, have you gotten the new attachments yet? I have not, but they are on. I literally have an open demonstrator order right now that I will close out on Sunday because it includes the products for that One Sheet Wonder class. So I will be, it is on that order and I will be getting it. So as soon as I get it, I will be playing with it, testing it out, trying it, seeing what it does for my paper crafts, and I'll share it here. Great question, Tanya. All right, everybody, you have a good weekend. Whatever you do this weekend, I hope it brings you happiness and peace and joy. Bye-bye.